Have you ever told yourself that the only way to survive is to be in control? Or that you can never show weakness even when you're hurting? If this describes you, you might be a type Enneagram 8. These people are a force of nature, and they love protecting the people that they care about. But at the same time, they shield more of their softer, tender heart from others. And today that's what we're going to talk about, the Enneagram Type 8 and what motivates them. I'm Enneagram Ephraim, and I'm going to be your Enneagram coach. And so to start off, we're going to talk about describing a Type 8. And there's 5 ways that they usually get talked about. And the first description is going to be Type 8s are assertive. These people take initiative, they speak their mind, and they move through life with boldness. They're not afraid of confrontation or making big moves. So imagine a house is on fire and everyone's outside of that fire and everyone's kind of frozen still, kind of just processing what's actually going on and what should we do, and everyone's worried about all these different things. And a Type 8, what they're going to do is they're going to be the first one to take charge. They're going to be the ones to go, hey, you got to call these people. Hey, you got to do this. Hey, you got to do this. Hey, is everyone okay? Is everyone accountable for? Is everyone out of the house? They're the ones that have no problem taking charge and looking around like, why is no one doing anything? And so they end up leaping in, taking control, and even if they don't know what's going on, usually end up figuring out really quickly, and they have no problem taking charge when no one else is. The next description of a Type 8 is they are self-confident. They trust their gut and their ability to handle whatever life throws at them. They carry themselves with strength and command. And what I mean by this is they don't really need compliments from people. They do something because they know they can do it and they can do it well. Where others need affirmation or reassurance, if you give them a compliment, they'll be like, yeah, I did it because I knew I could do it. Why? I didn't need that. The only time they would really get upset with a compliment is if they did something and someone else took the credit. But outside of that, they're pretty confident knowing that I can do anything. And even if someone tells them they can't do it, they're confident enough, I'm going to prove them wrong. The next one is Type 8s are very intense people. They bring full energy into everything that they do, whether it's work, relationships, or just because they don't hold anything back. So the 8s are kind of like a wildfire, except like a normal wildfire there had been like one simple spark to catch a leaf or a pine tree on fire, and it started engulfing things. The difference is there is no starting point. You're getting dropped into the wildfire because it's always there. It's never gone. It's never. You can't put out this fire that's inside them. It's always there. Intensity is there. It just sometimes they hold off. They may not show that intensity, or they might show it. And sometimes this is where people's response is like, "Wow, that was a lot." But that intensity is always there. The next description of a Type 8 is they're very big-hearted. They have no problem taking a bullet for the people that they care about. But they don't always show their softer side as easily as they should. And that's why I call them kind of like a burnt marshmallow. Most people will experience their crusty outer shell, and it kind of pushes people away that they don't want. And then there's other people that really know the Type 8 go, they're not always this tough or mean person that people describe, because they get to see all the gooey parts, the more vulnerable, softer parts of the Type 8s. And so where everyone else on the outside usually experiences the more crustier side. And finally, Type 8s get described as they're very confrontational. They don't fear conflict. They welcome it. If something is wrong, they will say it. And if someone is being fake, they usually will call them out before they even finish their sentence. And so I always say 8s love debating people. They think it's fun. Even if a type 8 is sitting there going, I know I'm wrong, and they've already proven me I'm wrong, but I'm having fun, so I'm going to keep pushing the boundary and keep debating with this person, even though I know I'm wrong. And a type 8 will leave going, wow, that was fun. Well, everyone else is like, oh, that was exhausting, trying to prove my point. But they enjoy debating and have no problem with it. Now, the core motivators of a type 8, what really truly motivates them is if you haven't watched the other videos, there's 4 basic motivations to all the Enneagrams. There's the core fear. This is the thing that emotionally we are trying to run away from and do everything to avoid this. Then there's the core desire, the thing that we want to hear, experience, and we're often chasing after that. Then there's something that we use called a weakness. And this is the thing that we tried to use to avoid our fear while trying to obtain our desire. And the problem is with the weaknesses, it works to an extent because it allows us to get something. It allows us to obtain our desires, but most of the time, it's not a true version of what we're trying to obtain. It's always a false version. It never lasts. And finally, there's the core longing, the thing that we're really after, that we want to hear and experience. So we're going to jump into the core fear. The core fear for a type 8 is being weak, powerless, harmed, controlled, vulnerable, manipulated, or betrayed. And so for many type 8s, they can remember situations where they trusted someone at a young age or their teenager age, and it actually cost them. And this is where they told themselves, never again will I allow someone to be trusted to take advantage of me. And so this is where they start staying very alert, and they stay alert, stay strong, and I will be decisive in my decisions because I want to make sure that I do not get betrayed, manipulated, or wronged by other people. And when I'm talking about vulnerability, when 8s don't like feeling vulnerable, is because it's kind of like giving the keys over someone to your house that you may not fully trust. And you're about to go on vacation. And so the problem is you go on vacation and now you're not enjoying your vacation. You're just thinking like, oh my goodness, is my house going to be okay? Is everything going to be there? Is anyone going to steal anything? And that's how 8s feel with allowing people to see their more vulnerable side, because they feel like they're giving their keys of control to someone else that they don't fully trust in the moment. And that's why they'll stay strong, make decisive, and make sure that I will never feel those feelings of manipulation or being controlled. And 8s don't always need to be in control. They just don't like being controlled by others. And then the next is the core desire is to protect yourself and those in your inner circle. Again, the way that they protect themselves and protect the ones they care about is you'll notice that they put on this coat of armor that's invisible, but this coat of armor says that you cannot hurt me. And it's you will feel their presence when they walk into a room. They want you to know instantly, I'm standing behind you and there's nothing that you can do to hurt me. And you can feel their presence. And that's what they want you to experience, is because they want to make sure no one wants to try anything on them or the people that they care about. And so a lot of times this is where people get misunderstanding of what that is, because a lot of times people can take that off as they're being a bully, but a lot of times, most of the time, they end up actually confronting the bully because that is what they don't like. And so they have no problem pushing back against the bully. They're more likely to stand up against them and not be the bully. But they can come off as that because they're trying to protect themselves or the people that they care about. And so think of it like this. A good defense is a good offense. If I put a good front up, you're less likely to attack me in a way and not actually trying to attack people. And so this is where they say to themselves, I'll stay strong so no one else will get hurt. But unintentionally, 8s, because they're trying to protect themselves so much, is sometimes they unintentionally push the people away that actually love them because they want to protect themselves so intensely that people get kind of turned off or accidentally pushed away, and they're like, oh, they can have uncomfortable conversations like, hey, I actually care. But in the moment, they're just trying to kind of ward off anyone that wants to hurt them or perceived hurt. And so the people that they care kind of get pushed away. And 8s also are very direct. They're told they're too honest, but that's because they want honesty. They want people to be honest with them, so they're very honest with others. And so I always say you never have to guess what a type 8 is thinking. They're going to tell you, even when no one asked. They will say the honest thing when everyone's thinking it, and it's like, should I say it? They're already saying it, regardless if it's comfortable or not. And they have no problem. They think to themselves a lot of times when people do stupid things, they think it. And they do it so much, they don't even mean to be mean about it. And the example is, I always say, you know that you're in a relationship with a type 8 or you're a friend with a type 8 because they'll call you an idiot 30 minutes later, call you up and be like, hey, where are we getting lunch today? And you're like, lunch? You just called me an idiot. I'm not getting lunch with you. And they're like, well, don't be an idiot. I won't call you an idiot. So where are we getting lunch? And that's kind of how 8s humorously don't think that calling people an idiot or stupid is actually being mean. It's like, well, that was dumb. Don't say it again, And that's how 8s want to be told too. Hey, that was dumb. Don't do it again. And they go, okay, great. I won't do it again. And that's how they communicate a lot of times. They're very direct, honest, even with the people that they care about. The third one is the core weakness. And the core weakness is called lust or excess. And lust has nothing to do with sex. It's the constant desiring intensity, control, and power. This is where they push themselves willfully on life and people to get what they want. These are the people that go big or they go home. They swing for the fences or they don't even show up to the plate. If they want something and there's a literal wall in front of them, they have no problem running through that wall. Even if it takes 100 times to get it, I'm going to go through that wall. And 8s, a lot of times, imagine if you're an 8. One of the things where they have to learn is, think of like a dial, a light dial on a switch. When 8s come into a room, they're either on or off. And so they're at 100 or they're at 0, nothing in between. So where they have to grow is they have to take that light switch from up, down, on, off to a dial. And they have to walk into a room and go, okay, I think this room can handle me at 30 or 40%. And so they turn the dial. Now, I understand when I explain this to 8s, they look at me and they go, how do you do that? Because the problem is inside, because they want to be honest, is they either give people their full self or nothing at all. And so they almost feel like in that moment, but I'm lying to myself. I'm not even being honest with me. And so I have to remind them it's not being honest or not, but it's looking at this group and going, oh, they can handle my intensity at 30 or 40%. And that's still being true to you. And it's kind of going back up to that wildfire. It's kind of controlling it a bit where you're like, okay, I'm going to slow this wildfire, cool it down a bit because it's too intense for this group. And so that's where they can learn to grow in their intensity. And the final, the core longing of a type 8 is that it says that you will not be betrayed. And so if you've ever think of like a soldier who is at war, and so the phrase is they sleep with one eye open, and because they don't want the enemy to trick them, sneak behind them, or one-up them, because that's life or death. And for 8s, that feeling of betrayal is the same thing. And so they can feel at times that they're sleeping with one eye open. They're laying in bed and they're monitoring everything. Even though they should be asleep, they're like, I got to keep a vigilant eye to make sure no one betrays me. And even the slightest feeling of that, they get very kind of aggressive towards it to make sure that they don't feel that. And so the way I always remind the eights, though, is this is where they have to trust to heal that brokenness of them. They have to trust in Jesus. And specifically with this, Jesus himself picked 12 people to be his disciples, his inner circle. But they're aware of, there was that one, his name was Judas, who ended up betraying him. And so this is where the Luke chapter 22, verses 47 and 48 says, "But even as Jesus said this, a crowd approached, led by Judas, one of the 12 disciples. Judas walked over to Jesus to greet him with a kiss. But Jesus said, 'Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?'" And this is the important thing for eights have to remember, is that Jesus understands and has gone through betrayal. And even he was betrayed by someone that was in his inner circle. But however, he did not betray you, because while he was being betrayed, Jesus still went through a false trial, false accusation, beaten, and ultimately to the cross to take your sins because you needed salvation, and he wasn't going to betray you. And that is where you need to find healing that broken heart of constantly saying, I can't be betrayed. And you have to remember, even when people do betray you, Jesus didn't. And that is the thing you need to hold on to. And so for a final encouragement for type 8s is that we love your intensity, we love your honesty. And even though we love you guys, we can still unintentionally make you not feel safe or even betray you accidentally. And the point is to remember that you don't always have to protect yourself from a real threat or even a possible threat, because you've already been protected by Jesus. So even if you die, you already have that salvation if you put your trust in Jesus. Now, if this video resonated with any of the type 8s, I would love to hear from you what resonated with you, but what do people mostly misunderstand about you? And so put that in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And for everyone else watching this video, if you thought it was helpful and you want to dive more into your Enneagram journey, I have a free guide for you. Just click the link and it'll take you right there, and it's for you for free. And everyone else, I will see you guys in the next video.